just accept that I'm the uterus again. And now let's place a sheet over me. Here's the fundus, body, oviducts, cervix, vagina. Where that sheet contacts me and fuses to me is the surface of the uterus, the perimetrium. So metrium is our root word for uterus. Endometrium, perimetrium, myometrium, like heart is cardia. Where that sheet hangs down from the oviducts, this is the peritoneum, remember, and where we have double layers of peritoneum is known as a mesentery. We'll pick that up again with the digestive system. So the mesentery of the colon in the digestive tract is called the mesocolon. A double sheet of peritoneum for the uterus is called a mesometrium. For the ovary, a mesoovarium. For the oviduct, mesosalpinx. There's that word salpinx again. All right. Now, let's look at it. So that's what's on this model right here. The blue would be the perimetrium. And this out here on the side, where it's not attached to the uterus, would be the mesometrium. Okay? A mesentery being a double layer of peritoneum. So I'm going to show you, part of what's supporting it in its position. So here you can see again that stretched out view. Perimetrium attached to the wall of the uterus. Hanging down from the oviduct would be mesosalpinx. Associated with the ovary, not shown as quite as clearly here in this image, mesoovarium. And then associated with the lateral wall of the uterus, mesometrium. Another name for all of it is broad ligament.
So the mesosalpinx and the mesoovarium, they're pretty much together.
Let me show you a cross section. I'll diagram that on the board. This one right here. Maybe this would be a better image looking at it like this. Okay. So here's the uterus. Here's the round ligament passing forward. We'll talk about it again in just a moment. Here's the oviduct, and here's that sheet draped over. Double layers, mesosalpinx. Double layers, partially enclosing, but not completely enclosing the ovary, otherwise that would interfere with the release of the oocytes, mesoovarium. Double layer, mesometrium. So it gives you a little more of the three-dimensional aspect of it. Okay? So here's the oviduct. Over here's the ovary. The peritoneum draped around the oviduct and then coming down as a double layer. Sends a segment out that partially encloses the ovary and continues down. Now the uterus from this picture here is going to be either in front of or behind, because this diagram that I'm putting on the board is by making a section right here. So we're not cutting through the ovary. All right, so we don't see it in that section. We're going to see oviduct. We're not cutting through the uterus. We're going to see the oviduct and the ovary. All right. So there's adipose tissue and blood vessels between those two layers of peritoneum. And this double layer is known as the mesosalpinx. This double layer mesoovarium. It's pretty short. You can see it best on this plasticized. This was real, an actual body, dissected out and done with plastic under high pressure. So when you look at this, you can see the ovary and how its membrane is at right angles to the mesosalpinx and mesometrium. So that picture is kind of the same as this one here, but with the three-dimensional aspect is a little easier to understand. So again, it's instead of passing sideways like that, by the oviducts are going back like this, the mesometrium is also swinging back laterally. But it's considered to be a lateral ligament. It goes lateral and then posterior.
Posterior and bending over?
Yeah. Go like this and then it's going back like that. I'll show you another image, okay, in just a moment. Now, back to this sagittal view. So here is the peritoneum attached to the uterus itself as the perimetrium. It doesn't go all the way down the cervix. It then swings off and onto the bladder in front and swings up and onto the rectum in the back. Okay, so it's not continuous completely around all of the cervix or the vagina, which is why you see this particular view here. So it's coming up here and going over the rectum or the bladder, depending on whether we're anterior or posterior. So again, mesosalpinx right here coming out from the screen would be mesoovarium, and then all of this would be mesometrium.
So on this picture.
So let me show you that picture in just a moment. Right here. So this is from Netter's. All right. This would be anterior because here's the bladder. And so you're looking at the perimetrium here. Here's the round ligament passing forward. So this would be the deep inguinal ring as the round ligament is going into the inguinal canal. Here is the oviduct with the mesosalpinx right here. This would be the mesoovarium right here, and this, starting laterally but coming posterior, would be the mesometrium. Point that one out again. Right here. Okay. This arrow is actually going to this thickened component. Notice while I'm here that the lateral superior portion of the uterus has three cord-like structures attached to it. The most anterior is the round ligament. And that is the only structure that keeps the uterus tilted forward. With multiple deliveries, obviously, as the uterus grows up, that's going to get stretched out. And so the uterus can start to tilt backwards instead of forwards, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So the most anterior structure is round ligament. The medial structure is the oviduct. And the most posterior structure is the ovarian ligament. So we have one more ligament. There's actually two. The cardinal ligament that we don't go over. It's hard to find anyway. So this structure right here starts just about the level of the cervix, curves posteriorly around the side of the rectum and attaches to the sacrum, hence uterosacral. So it's going to, if the round ligament is tilting the uterus forward like this, and the broad ligament is supporting it laterally and posteriorly, the posterior ligament is kind of a sling pulling it back like that, opposing the action of the round ligament. Okay. You can see that very well in the plasticized pelvis, and you can also see it well in this model. So here's the uterus, here's the rectum, and this would be the uterosacral ligament right here. Okay? our sagittal models, it's kind of hard to find, it's just pretty short. So right there, passing lateral to the rectum, is the uterosacral ligament. If we look at the lateral upper portion, you can see the three structures attached near the fundus. So this one right here would be the round ligament. Okay, and then oviduct, and then ovarian ligament.